Colossal Games. They have a few titles out. You've seen a few of them here. Their, as far as I'm concerned, biggest, most epic title to date, Western Legends, has already had one Kickstarter expansion. And now they have their the final expansion to finish off the Western Legends series. If you're not familiar with the Western Legends game, it is a sandbox Old West game which specifically uses actual characters from the American Old West. After the initial game was a huge success, they followed that with Ante Up, which added a second board, a second city, town, and some new play areas and some new rules to the game. They had some smaller expansions with these Kickstarts because the first and the expansion were so successful, such as Fistful of Extras, The Good, the Bad, and the Handsome, and Wild Bunch of Extras. Colossal Games continues what they've already given us with Ante Up, and that is a nice, sweet combination of more of the same, more of what you already want and have, along with some new stuff thrown in. And specifically, a lot of these things that they've added into the game system with blood money are things that the fans and the backers have been clamoring for. Now, of course, as you would expect, there are more character cards, there are more story cards, more item cards, more of the things that you already love about this game. But not only did they add more of the poker cards and everything else, what they've done is they've taken 5 different ideas and they've turned them into these modules that can actually be plugged into the core game. And that's going to massively change the game up, and some of the things that you really have to do, it's going to add a new level of replayability to the game. Now, one of the things that a lot of the players, as well as the backers, have been asking for is to make the game a little more challenging in the sense of giving it a more dangerous feel. So they've answered those. And a lot of the injuries that you can get in the game are going to be very dangerous, and some of them are going to be lasting throughout the entire game. They're going to be permanent problems to your character. And that definitely makes it feel more like the deadliness of living in the Old West. Now, they've added another component to the game, which they call the risk die. And this is exactly what it is. It's risk, it's chaos, it's luck, good, bad. And you get a chance to roll this die, and maybe you'll gain $10. Maybe you'll get to draw a card. But maybe you might get an injury. And as I just said, injuries in this game can now be pretty permanent. It's called the risk die for a reason, people. Now, blood money also adds another new aspect to the game called the traveling trader. And this is exactly what it sounds like. Instead of having to make it to one of the specific spots on the map in order to go spend your money and buy stuff, you now have the chance to run into, to find, to track down, or bump into this traveling trader. And you're going to find some oddities with this trader, not just the normal bunch of things that you can find, but it's not going to be uncommon for you to find an unusual item in stock, or maybe even a legendary item that you're not going to be able to have the chance to buy in town. So I'm really looking forward to this because it also adds in this level of immersion sort of into the game. There's the theme setting for it, because the image, the archetype of the traveling salesman in the Old West, the old honest John, is a permanent part of the mythology. So to add this in is bringing something else from that time period, something else that we know of that has gone down in history as part of the Old West, that brings it to the game, adding to the flavor. Now, although they didn't add in hunting and trapping, which I've mentioned myself in past videos about Western Legends, such a massive part of the Old West, they felt that it mechanically worked too much like gold mining. So they opted to keep it out of the game, and I understand that reason why. But they did bring to the game another aspect of the Old West, which is famous, and that's buying land. Yes, you too can now be a deed owner to a plot of land in the Old West through the Western Legends game. And this is going to give you a base of operations to go to. It's going to give you an extra place to stop at for things like, to heal, instead of having to go town to the doctor. Things like that you have to go to town for. A few of them now you're going to be able to go to your homestead and take care of that there. I think that is something else. That is another aspect of the Old West that is so fitting and was so missing from the game. And now it's here. Now it's part of the game. You too can be a landowner in the Old West. One of the things me and everyone else I know personally really enjoy about this game, besides living out actual famous characters, is the story card system that it brings. And we've always had so much fun with this system, we never really thought, or at least I never did, it never came up in conversation, that this needed fixing. But that's exactly what they did, is that they've given us, in this edition of the game, a brand new pack of story cards. It replaces all the story cards from the core game and the story cards from Ante Up. With the Blood Money cards, they've upped the narrative a little bit, but that's not all. They just didn't make the story cards sound and read better, but now some of them will have ongoing effects during the course of the game. Some of them are going to be able to give you greater risk, but of course, greater reward will be coming with that. They've literally upped the feeling, the sensation that these story cards delivered. And as I said, I never had a problem with them to begin with, so I am so intrigued, looking forward to how these are pumped up. Can't wait to see that. Now, Western Legends Blood Money was funded within the first few hours. I don't know exactly how many, but it was funded within the first few hours. And by the first day, before the first day was even over, all the stretch goals were blown through. Why? Because Colossal Games has a perfect track record for delivery on Kickstarter. They have a great track record for delivering amazing games. So far, the two games by them I've played, Western Legends and Totemic, I have totally enjoyed. And they're very friendly with the backers too on Kickstarter, which a lot are, but not everyone is, as we know. They're very good with communicating with the backers. So everyone has been clamoring for this literally since Ante Up finished its Kickstarter run. So it's a great game, great company, reliable company. So if you're, and oh, by the way, if you don't have Western Legends, of course there is a master pack. I forget exactly what they call it on Kickstarter, but there is a big pack where you can get the core game, you can get Ante Up, you can get the stretch goal expansions that those two games came out with, plus of course Blood Money and all its stretch goals. If you're looking for a great, I don't mean a good, if you're looking for a great, maybe one of the best Western board games you've ever played in your life, you literally can't look any further. I totally endorse the 20-Sided Warriors. Everyone here at Two Gun Pixie completely 100% endorses Western Legends as an amazingly fun and fantastic Western board game. So what are you waiting for? Is this the kind of game that you think you could kickstart? Or you dropkick? Thank you very much for hearing me out, everyone. I'm your buddy Big John G for Two Gun Pixie presents Legendary Gaming, and my friends, I am out of here.